there's a lot to ZendHQ, but it does just boil down to monitoring and optimizing your ZendPHP environment. Um, there we are working toward monitoring and observing your whole web stack, but currently it's for PHP. It gives you a ton of granularity into your PHP runtime and provides a lot of tools that are specific to your PHP runtime. And that can be really advantageous if you want to dig into all the low level information that pertains to your PHP application in a performant way. Because, like I said, Zend is the PHP company, and we understand PHP from the bottom up. So everything that's in the ZendHQ service is tied into the low-level API language for PHP. So it's extremely performant and gives you a ton of information. Before I go through each of these pieces, I do just want to give you an idea of the ZendHQ stack. It has three components: your ZendHQ extension for PHP, which is just like any other extension. It just provides the API for ZendHQ to communicate with it. It also provides a PHP API that I'll go over a little more for the job queue. Then you have your ZendHQ service that can run anywhere. It can run alongside your PHP runtime. It can also run on a different system if you want to separate your concerns, etc. And then you have the ZendHQ user interface, which is at the end of the day just a web applet that that you can run to get a user interface for your ZendHQ instance. So the main part, or I shouldn't say main, but one of the big parts of ZendHQ is Z-Ray, our first card here. It is a live and real-time look into your PHP requests. So once you start monitoring with Z-Ray, each request you can click on and look at all sorts of information in real time. So the performance, the resource utilization, any super globals that were utilized in that request, the request and response header and body information, all of the functions that were used in that request. And if there are database queries, you'll see a tab for those so that you can dig into each query, whether it succeeded or failed, any errors, and it can like deal with complexity. So if you have a query that has a transaction, for example, that transaction will be broken up line by line. And the great part of that is that if a piece of that transaction fails, you can actually it'll show you the specific transaction that failed. So it makes debugging really easy. Um, there's a ton more in there, like any errors that happened and such. I just couldn't put them all on one card. But we also have Z-Ray plugins now that are specific to things you might be using in PHP, like third-party libraries, content management systems. We have a plugin for WordPress, for example, that gives you a ton of information about the WordPress instance on each request, like WordPress cache, any plugins that were used, what failed in WordPress, etc. Um, we also have like a Doctrine plugin. I think we're working on a Drupal one right now, Composer. So you can install these plugins that might be good for your PHP specific PHP application.